Hey guys, we are the editors from Prisma Guitar at the last day of Winter NAMM 2018 in Anaheim, California, bringing our last day of editors picks from the show. As you can probably tell, we're all beat, very tired. It's a lot of walking all over this huge convention center. It's even bigger than last year. They have a whole new building. We've seen a lot of cool stuff, and we're going to tell you about our favorites of the day. Who wants to start?
Ted volunteered.
All right, I guess I volunteered. Okay, my favorite part was the petting zoo, and they had no. This is a different story.
Did you go to Disneyland?
This is a different story. Yeah, exactly. Actually, we were over at Fuzz Roche's today, and they had this cool new pedal that's not really their new pedal, but it says it's their new pedal, and it's this. And what it really is kind of a concept. What they're doing is they're building a mod, and it's for their existing pedals, and it sounds great with a couple of their fuzzes, but it's a digital octave with a simple single dial and a blend switch on it, and it just sounded Fuzz Roche's.
Is that thing in the middle a giant-ass knob?
That's a giant-ass knob, but it's just purely representational here. You know, they're just having fun with it. But the idea is basically, you know, you'll pick up a Fuzz Roche's pedal, and you can order it with a distortion pedal like the Stash or something like that, and then you can order it with this mod. Or if you have an existing pedal, ship it to them, and they'll put the mod in for like $100.
That's crazy.
Is that picture on your iPad, is that bigger than life size?
Actually, this is slightly smaller than life size.
Oh, so it's okay.
Yes.
So does it just, you would run it like an expression pedal and it affects the
No,
existing pedal?
it actually becomes part of the existing pedal.
Wow. Oh,
there's
that's
an additional
crazy.
dial set in, you know, and then they just let this rip with one of their fuzzes, and it's really great. So it's essentially a beautiful octave fuzz, you know. I liked it, and it just sounded great, and it was super easy to control. I love the simple one dial, you know, usability of it. Exactly.
How much is it?
It's $100. You know, for the mod. If you
Cool.
buy the other pedal, you know, the other pedals are like about 150 or something. So you buy that pedal, then get this for another 100 as a
Okay,
mod.
cool.
So $250 in total.
Sweet. Who's next?
Let's see, I actually don't have a photo of it because I was behind a different kind of camera all day, but Electro-Harmonix has this new...
Oh, I might have a photo.
Do you have a photo of that, man? It's like a 6-channel looper with an SD card that it'll give you up to like 12 hours of looping. But you can like mix while you've looped. So you can like drop, and it has like a kind of a drum machine built in, which is okay if you were busking or like doing a solo acoustic thing, it would be awesome. But
There's a big, complicated board, though, right?
it's
like,
it's not as
it's not as
complicated
complicated
as it
as
looks.
well, I mean,
looks.
but
Yeah.
it's
There's
like
a lot of
serious live
things.
looping.
It's
But
substantial.
everything is well marked.
Yeah.
Everything is well marked and pretty self-explanatory. And the fact that you can like record a bunch of loops, and then because of the faders, you can like remix in real time and record a remix.
You could build
an
a loop
automated
and then-
remix of your loop, and then dump it to an SD card and use it or something. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty.
It was pretty
hip,
cool.
yeah.
Also, I think it'd be like a really great tool for a writer, like somebody writing. Like if you're trying to write a riff, like just go for days with that thing, man.
Joe Gore has already been like fighting us to, I get to review this if we do it.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Cool.
Jason,
Yes.
you ready?
So I went over today to the Comet amps booth. So I'm gonna find my picture, and they had two things that were really, really awesome. One was this. It's called the Ambi Cab. I'll show you a picture here. The Ambi Cab, and it's, let's see, it's like a wet, dry, wet cab. So what you do is you when you plug your amp into it normally, like you would any other cab, it feeds the two bottom speakers. And then there's like this. Then what you would do is you would come out of your reverb and say delay effects on your pedal board into the back of this cab, and that would feed the top two speakers. So it's like kind of a built-in wet, dry, wet thing, and it sounded awesome.
So you said there were 4 speakers?
4 speakers
What
in
were
there,
the
yeah.
sizes again?
I think 2 12s and 2 10s. So the 2 10s handle the wet signal, the 2 12s handle the dry signal, and there's knobs on the back you can to dial in more of your amp tone or more of your affected tone, and then you could either mic each speaker, or you could just put a speaker or a mic a little ways back and get the whole deal. And so that was pretty awesome. And the other thing they had there was this, the Coda Comet Overdrive amplifier pedal. And the cool thing about this is it has kind of like its own power amp that's switchable. So if you turn it on, then you kind of get a preamp and a master control on the pedal itself. but if you turn it off, it disables one of those, and you can even use it from anything from like a clean boost to like a really big, hairy distortion pedal. But the distortion didn't feel like, I don't play it with a lot of high gain, but a lot of the times, but with this, there's quite a bit of gain, but it felt like pretty controlled and tight. And it wasn't sloppy, and it was real focused. And like I said, I'm not like, you know, a high gain dude, but this was a very impressive, you know, more gain than I would ever typically need on an everyday thing. But
have they done pedals before? I don't recall seeing
I don't
pedals
think
from those
so.
guys.
No, they've just done mostly amps and cabinets. But both of those two things today were really, really happening at the Comet booth.
Cool. All right, the coolest thing I saw today, we didn't get to do a video of it because it was between shifts, and I just like, whoa, that's cool. Do you guys remember a couple years ago we got like a press release from a company called Prisma Guitars? And they're making bodies out of recycled old skateboard decks. So they're multiply, but they like dye the different layers, different colors. I think originally it was like the entire body, the whole thickness of the guitar was all decks. Well, they have this new signature model for, I can't remember the guy's name, but you guys remember we did a feature on a band called Matson 2. They're like surf rock-ish, sort of modern.
Twins, right?
Yeah, twin brothers. Matson's the last name, so I'm sorry, I can't remember that guy's first name. He has a signature model, and these ones have the multicolored skateboard deck just on like a cap, and then there's a mahogany body, and there's cool pickups where they incorporate the colored skateboard deck stuff. And I'll show you a picture right here. Let me show you the cool headstock too. And that's it.
Cool.
Ted, you got another one?
Yeah, I do. You know, the last thing we did today, and it was kind of a fitting way to end the show, was we went over to Pictronics, and David is just such a mad scientist that he totally blew my mind. You know, he's got a new ring modulator over there that's just completely radical, and really, if I were to talk about it anymore, I'd just be wasting my breath because I have no idea how the hell he makes it work. He does, so watch the video for that. But there was one other thing that I was really delighted by, and this was when we were at the Jam Pedals area, and it's the Pink Flow pedal, which is basically David Gilmour in a box. They specifically went through all of Gilmour's sounds, and they've even got a button on it called Seagull, and that's to get the shrill guitar vibrato sound that comes out in metal. You know, it's just a really great thing.
I saw that. It's so cool looking.
Yeah, and it's about that big, right? Well, it weighs about 2.5 pounds.
I know. I picked it up and I was like, Giannis, are there any guts in this thing?
Is this a dummy? It's like, no. But anyway, this is what it looks like. Yeah, I think it's going to be out in April. And they didn't have a price quite ready on it. Cool. There we go. That's it. And it's, you know, like all their pedals, I really like their artwork as well. They
but
do
that
cool
was
stuff.
just like one of a bajillion super cool looking pedals there. They had like 3D printed flower knobs for
his custom pedals
Yeah.
are wild. But he got a 3D printer and kind of went ham.
Yeah,
but
they
they're
have
like
that steampunk line,
yeah,
which is really cool.
That's pretty cool too.
They also had 2 new distortion pedals, and they had a series of bass pedals that they unveiled. So it was we spent a long time there.
Was
So
that
you can
was
see
that in
all
the
of
video?
that.
Is that in the video?
Oh yeah, that's in the video.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and you'll hear parts of Comfortably Numb. And I mean, I'm an old Floyd head, so the minute somebody starts getting up those sounds, I get misty-eyed. You know, what can I say?
cool. Does anyone else have anything they wanted to talk about from the
I
day?
do. I of course do. Late this afternoon, let's see here, went over to the Two Rock booth, and they have a new amp that is a dual channel amp. And typically, I'm not a huge fan of dual channel amps, but Eli over there is like, well, you got to try this. You got to try this. This is like the 2-channel amp for people who don't like 2-channel amps. And of course, we flipped on the clean side. It's this big, round, immediate, present, clean tone. And then
Kind of power tubes.
6L6s, I believe. And he did something really interesting with the reverb circuit, where, in his words, he kind of wrapped it around the volume. And however that is an amp talk, how he worked the circuit, he says he wrapped the reverb around. Or wrap the reverb around the master volume, so he doesn't get as splotty as typical reverb does at higher volumes. And also, like, you know, there was like useful sounds. You know, usually on reverb knobs, it gets a little deep. So it can get real deep real quick, and then
What's
you're
wrong
just
with
in
that?
ambient. Well, if
Good
that's not
question,
your,
Sean.
it's not your jam. But it sounded great. I mean, you could have the reverb noon or 1 o'clock, and it was still like your tone was still there, and it wasn't getting lost in a wash of a room. You know what I mean? And the lead channel was I mean, it was so natural sounding. You know, it wasn't overbearing. It didn't sound like, oh, I'm going from this amp to this amp now. You know, it kind of held its character and everything, and that was really cool. And then there was another bypass switch where you can take the tone controls completely out of the circuit, and what that did is that increased the gain even more. And so basically, it's like you have 3 really distinct sounds, and it's a 2-channel amp. And it was, you know, the typical 2-rock, built rock solid. You know, it has gain, bright treble switch, mid control, deep control, individual gain and masters on each channel, presence control.
Those are cool knobs too.
Those are cool knobs. The silver
That's what
top
she
hat knobs.
said.
Yeah. So the Bloomfield Drive, you know, it's you know, it's a professional amp with a professional price.
Did you say the reverb is digital or spring?
I don't believe it is. I believe it's spring.
Yeah, it's spring. We talked to them yesterday.
Yeah, they did the video yesterday. So, yeah, that amp just totally blew me away. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Cool. Anyone got anything else, or should we let these fine people go? We'll be doing this again next NAMM in 6 months or whatever, and we'll catch you then.
All right. Thanks.
Later.